Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. This is the 3.5 Quizizz assignment. There are 13 questions that we're going to look at together, and we're going to be comparing different rates of change or slopes and also initial values between different functions. So this first question says, which service is cheaper for 8 movies in 1 month? So we have Beth's service and Nate's service. So X is our variable for number of movies, and Y is giving you that cost. So, for Beth's service, 8 movies is $40. And remember, this is a coordinate, right? This is 8 comma 40. That's going to be on this function. If you watch 8 movies, it'll cost you $40. Great. And when we're looking at Nate's service, we have a function. So we don't know right off the bat how much it is for 8 movies, but what we can do is we're going to plug in 8 for X and get the value. So we'd get Y equals 4x becomes 4 times 8 plus 6. Order of operations, we're going to multiply 4 times 8 to get 32 plus 6. 32 plus 6 is 38. So Nate's service is $38. And the question was asking which one is cheaper. So 38 is less than 40, so Nate's service is cheaper. So we're going to choose this one here. Nate's service is cheaper. Beautiful. What is the rate of change, which is our slope, to rent a raft from water's edge? Okay, so we're looking at our graph. We're focusing on water's edge rafts, and we're trying to find the slope or rate of change. So when we're looking for that, we always are going to do our rise over run. So looking at this graph, we have 2 points that are given to us. So let's use those 2 points. How much are we going up? Well, we're going from 6 to 36. So that means we have gone up a total of 30. And then we're going over to the right, and we went from 1 to 6, which means we went right 5. So we went up 30 and right 5. That's our rise over run. And 30 divided by 5 gets us a rate of change of 6. So what this means, right, our Y variable is the total cost of money. So it's dollars per our X variable is hours. So that means that this particular raft company is $6 for 1 hour. That's the rate. $6 for 1 hour. So we're going to do 6. Beautiful. What is the rate of change for Ryan's rafts? So when we're looking at Ryan's rafts here, we have a table. So to find the rate of change, we're going to look at how it's increasing from one point to the next. So our Y value goes from 15 to 17.25. So we went up $2.25, and our X value went up by 1 hour. So 225 divided by 1 is just 225. Wow, that's a wild 2. There we go. So that means it's $2.25 per hour for Ryan's rafts. $2.25. Beautiful. Question 4. 2 kayak rental company rates are shown. Which company's hourly rate is cheaper? So we'll look at Carrie's kayaks first. If we're looking for the rate of change, again, remember we're thinking rise over run, which is our change in our Y values divided by our change in X. So looking at Carrie's kayak, we see our values are going from 15 to 18, which means we're going up by 3 every hour. So Carrie's is going to be $3 per hour, per 1 hour. And for ocean kayak, we have a function equation. So this is our slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So just remember your slope is m. That's whatever is in front of x, right? It's attached to the x variable by multiplication. And in this case, our slope is 4. So that means oceans is $4 per 1 hour. The question was saying which one is cheaper. So Carrie's kayak was 3, so that's going to be cheaper than oceans, which was $4. Perfect. Question 5, which function has a greater initial value? Our initial value, that is the y-intercept, and it is when x equals 0. So looking at function A, when x equals 0, here's our x, go down to where it's 0, and then we can see our value is this -1. For function B, our y-intercept, this is in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, right? And whatever your b value is your y-intercept, so we have a -3. So function A is -1, function B is -3, so that means function A's initial value is greater. So that's going to be function A for question 5. Question 6 says which function has a greater rate of change? So now we're looking at the slope, we're looking at that rise over run, change in y over change in x. We're going from -9 to -5, which is an increase of 4, and -2 to -1 is an increase of 1. So function A has a rate of change of 4 over 1, which we can simplify to just 4. And function B's rate of change is that 5. That is the multiplier right in front of x. That's where we find our slope or rate of change. Beautiful. So function B has a greater rate of change. Question 7, 2 kayak rental companies' rates are shown. Which company has a greater initial value? So Carrie's kayak's initial value, again, remember when we hear that we're talking about the y-intercept, and that means x is 0, right? It is a point on the graph, 0, comma, whatever that y-intercept is, which we represent with the variable b. So for Carrie's kayaks, when x is 0, y is 15. Remember, this is a point. This is the point 0, comma 15, which means our y-intercept is 15. For Ocean's kayak, this is in our slope-intercept form. The number that's on its own is our y-intercept. It's not attached to the x. So our y-intercept for Ocean's kayak is 10. So that would be 0, comma 10, which means that 15 is greater than 10, so Carrie's kayak has a greater y-intercept. Beautiful. Question 8, 2 kayak rental company rates are shown. Which company would be less expensive to rent for 3 hours? So when we're looking at Carrie's kayak, X is our hours, and Y is our cost. So 3 hours, we see right here, is $24. That's going to be a point on our graph. 3 hours, $24. Looking at Ocean's kayak, we don't have all those points, but we can take our X value of 3 and plug it in. So f of 3 is going to be 10 plus 4 times 3, right? We take that x value and we're plugging it right in. We're substituting in that 3. Order of operations tells us to do multiplication first. So we have 10 plus 12. 10 plus 12 gets us $22. So that means ocean kayak is cheaper by $2. $22 for 3 hours compared to 24. So it's asking which one is least expensive, so that's ocean kayaks. What function has a greater rate of change? Alrighty. So rate of change is our, wait, does it say rate of change? Let me check. Yeah, okay, just checking. So rate of change is our slope. For function A, we see our y values increasing by 2 and our x values increasing by 3. This gives us a slope of 2/3. Up 2 for the y, right 3 for the x's. Looking at function B, we can find any 2 points, and we're noticing to get from one point to the next, we're going up 2 and over 1. So this has a slope of 2. 2 is greater than 2/3, so function B has a greater rate of change. Brilliant. Question 10, which function has a greater initial value? So again, that initial value is when our x is equal to 0. So here's our x values in the table. There's our 0. And when it's 0, our y is 3. So our initial value for function A is 3. For function B, x is 0 when it's on the y-intercept, and that is happening right here. So that value, that point, has a 0 placement for x, and it went up 1, 2, 3. So these two functions actually have the same y-intercept, which is a value of 3. So they have equal initial values. Brilliant. Which function has a greater rate of change for question 11? Function A is going up 1 and right 2 to get from one point to the next. We see that pattern of up 1, right 2. So that's our slope. And for function B, our slope is right there in front of x being multiplied, which has a slope of 2. So we'd go up 2 over 1, which means function B has a greater rate of change. Brilliant. 2 more questions here. Which function has a greater y-intercept? So these are the same functions. Function A, again, whenever we're finding the initial value, the y-intercept, we're finding where does it cross that y-axis. So we see that happening right here at this point, which is 1 below 0 at 0, -1. So that initial value is -1. And for function B, it is in slope-intercept form, but notice there's no number that's added or subtracted on the end of that equation. And that's because there's this imaginary 0. If we don't see a y-intercept, if there's not a number added or subtracted, that just means it's going right through the origin at 0, 0. So 0 is actually greater than -1, so B does have a greater initial value, or y-intercept. Last question, which statement about function A and function B is false? The first one is they have the same y-intercept. Function A's y-intercept is 2, and function B's y-intercept is also 2. So that one is a true statement. They have the same x-intercept. Well, the x-intercept for function B is a +2, and that means y is 0. So if we plug in 0, and get x plus 2. To solve for this x-intercept, we would subtract 2 from both sides and get an x-intercept of -2 for function a, which means these are not the same. We have 2 and a -2, so there's our false statement, that they have the same x-intercept. Nice job, y'all. Take care. I'll see you in the next assignment.